First, I want to thank Senator Mayer, the sponsor of this legislation. I think it's a step in the right direction. But it's important to understand how we arrived at this moment. The reason why test scores are being used to evaluate teachers is because of a deal that was cut a number of years ago by Governor Cuomo, together with Democrats and Republicans and the UFT. And they shoved that upon the people of this state and burdened the teachers across this state with that very flawed, as been pointed out, system of evaluation. I voted no for the enactment of that legislation a number of years ago because I knew it was wrong, because I knew it did not take into consideration the realities of what it takes to teach in a classroom. The concern I have and why I call this only a first good step is because I believe we are making the same mistake again. As I read this legislation, it just seems to smack of another deal. Because here in this legislation, test scores can continue to be utilized for evaluations. I can tell you the teachers in my district, this is not the bill they want, because they know, based on the discretion of some bureaucrat, they may continue to be evaluated based upon test scores. And as Senator Little pointed out, that is just about the worst way to do things. Of course, student progress is a good measure of whether or not a teacher is doing a good job. But these state tests is not the way to determine student progress. I mean, first of all, look at the tests. My kids have taken them. We really want to evaluate someone, we ought to evaluate the people who are making these tests. They seem completely and wholly incompetent to be in a position of writing these questions. They're horrific. They're ridiculous. They do nothing to tell us whether or not students are progressing or doing well in the classroom. And certainly nothing to tell us whether or not a teacher is doing their job. So good riddance, in part, to this very flawed system that was voted by both Democrats and Republicans. And again, I remind you, because of a deal cut by Governor Cuomo and the UFT, who ironically is calling my district right now, trying to scare teachers into believing that I'm not going to support this measure on the floor today. So they're up to their own tricks. Again, this smacks to me of another deal that we're going to have to revisit, because when teachers back home find out that still state tests can be used to evaluate their performance, they're not going to be happy. But this is better than what we have now, so thank you, Senator Mayer. I'm going to vote in the affirmative, but we have to continue to work on this issue.